Tonight, after video of a man being punched by a security guard in downtown Winnipeg surfaced, protesters gathered outside the business. And a First Nation housing conference was held in Thunder Bay, aiming to help people build skills to take back to their communities. Tanse na dute maktiar wheatley ni Sigasun o Pasqua Guche. Tawau, welcome to APTN National News. Saskatchewan RCMP are asking for the public's help in a death on Montreal Lake Cree Nation. Investigators originally deemed the death suspicious but have since ruled it a homicide. On March 1st, around 2:30 a.m., Montreal Lake RCMP responded to a report of an injured person at a home on Montreal Lake Cree Nation. Officers attended to 31-year-old Tanya Roberts. EMS were also called to the scene and declared the woman deceased. The Saskatchewan Coroner's Service has ruled the cause to be a homicide. RCMP say the investigation is ongoing. They are asking anyone with information about Robert's death to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. A video of a man being repeatedly punched and abused by a security guard at a downtown Winnipeg Dollarama is being widely condemned. The incident happened on Saturday, and today police announced the man is now facing charges of robbery and uttering threats. The Dollarama in question was closed today ahead of a protest. Our Julia Ross was there.
A 46-year-old man is facing charges after he was seen on a video being beaten and detained by a security guard after attempting to leave without paying for what police allege was roughly $95 in concealed items at a downtown Winnipeg Dollarama. The video, widely shared online, shows the Impact security system guard punching the man, stomping on the man's stomach, and grabbing him with force. Today, a protest took place outside the Dollarama with demands for the firing of the security guard, a full investigation, and better training.
This is about public safety. This is about accountability, and this is about protecting people, not harming them. I thank you all for standing here today. My name is Victor. I'm a proud Mapuche from South America. I'm of the Condor people. I am here to secure. I am a security guard. I am a security guard, not this. This isn't security.
Impact Security says that they are aware of the situation and that the guard has been removed from active duty. The security firm says it has reported the matter to Manitoba Justice for investigation. Protesters say that they want him fired and arrested.
They want to us. They can put us in the river. They can kill us. They can hurt us. Enough is enough. Arrest the security guard.
Manitoba Kiwetinowi Okimakanak says they condemn the use of excessive and violent force displayed by the guard. Grand Chief Garrison Settee says this is not an isolated incident and First Nations people continue to experience systemic racism. Winnipeg Police says the investigation is continuing with major crimes now taking the lead role. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Ginanaskamitin, Julia. The largest mining conference in the world kicked off over the weekend in Toronto. Every year, the Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada, or PDAC, brings together mining executives, politicians, and investors from across the globe. It's an opportunity to exchange ideas, find partnerships for the future developments, and make some deals. A small group gathered outside while investors and executives meet inside the Toronto Convention Centre. A crowd of about 100 people with signs moved onto the street to speak of their concerns. Among the crowd are members from Northern Ontario First Nation communities located near the proposed mineral-rich Ring of Fire. Youth from Attawapiskat made the trek to Toronto to rally outside the conference. Geronimo Cataquapit says they're here in spite of the push to proceed with development.
With everything that's been happening here, all these announcements, the void of the impact assessment that was announced recently, there's no better place to come and talk about protecting our land, about talking about those topics than here at a place like this where we got all these mining companies and I'm sure government officials coming to talk about mining in our homelands where we are. And we need to come here to places like these to represent ourselves, to talk about it. Even though it might seem like a sea of pro-mining people, we have to be the people that come in and talk about protecting the land. And and responsible development in a right way, one that isn't through fast tracking through these bills such as Bill 5 and Bill C5.
The 23rd Annual First Nations Housing Conference has wrapped up in Thunder Bay. The 3-day event features technical workshops and training sessions designed to highlight the professional capacity within First Nations. This year's theme is Stronger Alliances, Stronger Homes. APTN's Mike McDonald reports.
The goal of the conference is to address housing challenges across Canada through a First Nations-led approach. Representatives from 10 tribal councils form the First Nations Housing Working Group, which directs the conference. Clarence Mikas has been involved since the early days of the conference.
I've been involved with the conference, I would say, around 20 years, maybe 21 years or so. So I've seen obviously many events and seen the growth. It started as a regional event for Northwestern Ontario, and maybe 3 or 4 tribal councils were involved with starting it in Northwestern Ontario. And it grew in popularity, started spreading across the province and eventually across the country.
One of the highlights is a trade show featuring businesses involved in the housing and construction economy. Keith Lawrence, another member of the working group, says this year's trade show is the biggest one yet.
We're over 80 booths for the trade show, which is awesome for us. Venue-wise, we're fitting as much as we can, but we're getting to the point where we're actually realizing we want this to be in Thunder Bay and to be local and be more accessible to our community members. But finding a venue that's being able to host is our struggle.
The Builders Challenge offers youth a hands-on home construction experience.
We sponsored this challenge by building these walls. They're 8 foot high. We built them back at home. And the whole concept behind it was to learn about the LP siding and how to install it and flashings and stuff for waterproofing. So we had our carpenters back at home do it over a 5-day period, put it all together, got it down here.
EA Northern Contractors is a main sponsor of the conference. For the company's on-site projects manager, it's his first time attending.
Just to reach out to more communities and try to help the First Nations in the building aspect of everything. Say I grew up in First Nation community, so I see the struggles, obstacles that they go through, trying to pride myself in being the difference.
In the meantime, Mika says the conference is meant to showcase how First Nations are working to create resilient communities.
There are many new partnerships or funding opportunities available today, and many of them do not have a First Nation specific carve-out. So our communities are competing with cities and municipalities across the country. So coming together, I think, helps us learn about those opportunities and network so we can support each other in different ways.
Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Thunder Bay.
A recovering addict in Thunder Bay is hoping his business will help others to conquer their addictions. Howl at the Moon is a non-alcoholic bar which serves as a late-night option for those looking to socialize in a sober setting. Now, in its 3rd year in business, the venue continues to be a safe place for those in recovery and a place where those struggling with addiction can seek help. Again, here's APTN's Mike McDonald.
Jody Luz started Howl at the Moon with a clear goal: to give recovering addicts a safe place to relax and be themselves.
There's plenty of things available as far as like meetings, institutional type events for people in recovery. But up until Howl at the Moon opened, there wasn't really just sort of a social, sober hotspot where they could just come together and be themselves and meet other people. You know, it's really important in recovery to be around people who are also in recovery. We need to be social, and building that social network is really, really important. I've seen it over and over again where people end up relapsing because they get lonely and they end up back in the trap houses and back in the bars because they miss being around people.
Luz spent years working in bars, witnessing the impacts of addiction, and is a recovering addict himself. Although he's not Indigenous, Luz says he recognizes the unique needs of Indigenous people in recovery, which influences the programming offered at Howl at the Moon.
It became pretty obvious to me that reconnecting with culture and language was a really important factor in healing for my Anishinaabe brothers and sisters, and that's why we try and incorporate things like sharing circles and drum socials here at Howl at the Moon, in addition to the live entertainment programming that we have.
One of Jody's helpers is Michael Ashni-Peniscum, who started out as a customer. He brings with him years of struggle.
I grew up in a big treatment center called Bayfield Homes. I was there for 7 years, and I got out when I was 17 and then came back up here and lived here since 2012.
You know, I met Michael about 2 years ago when he came in here, and he was a pretty shy, reserved young man. And, you know, I've just seen so much growth in the 2 years that I've known Michael. He was nervous to even get up there and sing karaoke, and now I can't get him off the stage, and he actually hosts karaoke here 3 times a week at Howl at the Moon, and I'm just so proud of him because I've seen him come out of his shell, and I think Howl at the Moon has really helped him to do that.
Achni Paniscum says Howl at the Moon saved his life, adding it has given him a sense of purpose.
I'd be out there drinking right now and doing other stuff, you know, like I remember before I came here, I was like going to the Royalton and going for drinks and stuff and smoking up, and now I'm here. I really like helping Jody out, you know, like I really like relieving the tension and off of Jody and contributing in the community.
Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Thunder Bay.
Kinanaskamat and Mike for both those reports. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas, and here's how you can continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. And before we go to a quick break here, with the first day of spring less than 1 month away, Sav Jonesa brings us this preview of students in Northern Ontario making the most of winter's final moments.
Sav Jonesa here. I'm in White Dog, Ontario, where students from 6 schools throughout Treaty 3 territory are showing off their athleticism and teamwork in the 2026 Anishinaabe Winter Games. Roughly 100 kids are competing in sports like archery, snowshoeing relay races, and more while making friends along the way. We'll have that story for you soon on APTN National News.
Pitigwe. It's a historic first for the Canadian Armed Forces as troops test the limits of equipment and personnel in one of the most remote regions on Earth. And as our reporter Charlotte Moore-Jacobs explains, it's only the beginning of an expanding interest and support for Arctic sovereignty. Here's that story.
For the first time ever, the M777 howitzer is crossing the 60th parallel. It's going to be used to test the Canadian Armed Forces land preparedness and capabilities to detect, deter, and defend in the Arctic.
Overall goal for this is essentially to test our equipment out in the field out here. Coming up north, it's a real stress test on all the equipment, especially the vehicles and the guns themselves, and especially the personnel.
Master Bombardier Jonathan Pache is one of 1,300 people taking part in Operation Nunavut, with various missions across Yukon, NWT, and Nunavut.
There's a whole lot of logistical planning going into this, from the road move coming all the way up here from Edmonton, especially from Shiloh too. We had a lot of packets. We had the Air Force coming out here with their planes and their aircraft to be transporting our vehicles and our howitzers up to Cambridge Bay. So.
While the Arctic makes up 40% of Canada's landmass and 75% of our coastline, communities are sparsely located.
I think a big piece is...
So it's Major Stephanie Smith's job to ensure troops are self-sufficient in Cambridge Bay, Nunavut. Currently, they're surpassing local hospital resources, which lack surgical and ventilator support. But it's the reciprocity that impresses Nanook allies. How the team is securing clinical licenses for military staff to support the local facilities.
Even speaking with some of the elders as well, like learning their traditional medicine about how you approach a patient that's from the community to develop trust, collaboration, ensuring that they're what works best from their culture that sets them up to feel safe and trust with bringing in Western medicine options.
This building, the Canadian High Arctic Research Station, is home to the temporary strategic hub. Troops leverage the facility's advanced capabilities for northern surveillance and training. The station's lead scientist, David Hick, identifies the need for more multi-purpose infrastructure and hopes the visit strengthens partnerships to make that happen.
I think we could also make better use of those existing infrastructures. The North Warning sites, for example. We already have power and comms at those locations. There's things we could put in situ, within a couple months if using Canadian technology. Ocean Networks Canada, the cables, ROPOS, being able to put, increase our domain awareness for a whole variety of reasons. We can work with you on that.
Brigadier General Danielle Riviere, commander of Joint Task Force North, says building Canada's defences includes building infrastructure.
We could be asked to forward deploy people and vehicles and platforms and equipment, so you need that sustainment for endurance. And you can't deplete local resources, so that's one good reason, is self-sufficiency. If you have a degree of self-sufficiency, you add so much flexibility in your ability to deploy anywhere across the North. Mindful that some areas are totally remote and with near to no infrastructure.
Joint Task Force North is receiving significant long-term funding, $2.67 billion to be exact, over 20 years, to establish and upgrade northern operational support hubs in Yellowknife, Inuvik, and Iqaluit. Op Nanook is also growing a persistent and expanding presence, including the longest patrol conducted by the Canadian Rangers ever, 4,500 kilometers by snowmobile from Yukon to Manitoba. For Lieutenant General Stephen Boivin, commander of the Canadian Joint Operations, it's exciting times as Canada and its allies are watching the North and its capabilities.
So why fire today the M777? This is a rehearsal. This is a demonstration for us of the Canadian Armed Forces capabilities as we look at detecting, deterring threats, and if required, defending the country.
Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Cambridge Bay, Nunavut.
Thanks, Charlotte. And it's time for one last break here. When we come back, we take you to Thunder Bay for a peek inside a housing conference. Cheskoa. Tawau, welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. This past Friday, Fran Etzel tells us that the temperatures in Ross River, Yukon were dipping to -40, but the scenery was just as breathtaking. Thanks, Fran. And for your chance to be our next photo of the day, send your pictures to share at aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the east coast, Fredericton 3, Halifax 0. Kuujjuaq -16, Inukjuak -17. Saguenay 0, Val-d'Or -2. North Bay 0, Sault Ste. Marie also 0. Big Trout Lake -19, Kapuskasing -3. Puckatawagan -13, Thompson -17. Dauphin -1, Brandon -2. Swift Current 6, North Battleford -3. Up to Stony Rapids -26, La Ronge -13. Moving west, Peace River -18, Grand Prairie -11. Over to Edmonton -1, Red Deer +1. Kamloops 10, Campbell River also 10. Dease Lake -15, Smithers +5. Old Crow -31, Dawson -23. Over to Norman Wells -25, Wati -30. Up to Tuktoyaktuk -21, Paulatuk -23. Cambridge Bay -37, Baker Lake -26. And over to Arctic Bay -32, Igloolik -28. Drew Hayden Taylor's new play premiered on a Winnipeg stage recently. Tracy Nepanak is a well-known theater artist who is directing the play. She spoke with Julia Ross about the show.
And do you have a favorite line or favorite memory so far?
I can't say it on TV.
Tracy Nepanak is the director of Drew Hayden Taylor's new play, The Undeniable Accusations of Red Cadmium Light. Nepanak says the story follows an art expert that lives on reserve specializing in Norval Morrisseau frauds, and when she is interviewed by a reporter from the big city, The interview uncovers things that directly affect her, her daughter, and the world as they know it.
I feel so blessed and so privileged to be able to crack this, you know, like the world premiere of Drew's play. I'm so happy to like be able to explore this with like the group that I have here.
Nipanek says that her mom met Norval Morrisseau at a low period in his life, but that Morrisseau remained himself.
He was like so down to earth and so humble. And then these stories about like fake Morrisseaus, how you know, big time gallery owners and all manner of people like took advantage of like his art, his gift. And yet he could care less about the money. It was just something that he did.
She says she is excited for audience members to see the world of Morrisseau and Indigenous art.
He wanted the people that he knew that were close to him to benefit as well, because he had so much fame, and so like he just wanted to share his gift. And that turned into like, you know, people taking advantage of him. So yeah, I just want to see, like there's so many levels in this play, and that's just one of them, but how much relationships and family and what it takes to like keep that family bond.
Nipanek has acted in Drew Hayden Taylor shows before, and when reading the new script, she was so excited she couldn't say no to directing. The Undeniable Accusations of Red Cadmium Light runs at the Prairie Theatre Exchange in Winnipeg until March 8th. APTN spoke with Drew earlier this week. You can find his interview on our YouTube. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
If skies are clear, millions of Canadians are in for a celestial treat overnight. A total lunar eclipse will turn the moon red early tomorrow morning, a sight that will be visible across the country. During the eclipse, which will last several hours and requires no special viewing equipment, the Earth will move between the moon and the sun, bathing the moon in a crimson glow. The period of totality when the moon is completely in Earth's shadow will last just short of an hour. And that's your APTN National News for this Monday, March 2nd. I'm T.R. Wheatley. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. Christina Najikode is back behind the desk tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until then, from all of us at APTN to all of you, agase, kitam, kiranaskamita na wow.